This is an AVNation special. My name is Tom LeBlanc. I'm your host. It would help if I actually looked at the camera this time.
It's right there.
It is right there. We are live in Washington, D.C. at the CI Summit. With me right now, and just to kind of give you a heads up of what's going to happen, we've got a boatload of people in what we are ostensibly calling the AVNation Suite, thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Harry and Dawn Meade for offering up their wonderful suite. There's Harry right there if you're watching the video. This gentleman right here is Chuck Espinoza. I was almost said of the old integration firm he was with, because he's not anymore. He's from Infocom. How are you, sir?
I am great, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Also with us is Mr. Matt. Video.
Hey, how are you?
You haven't joined Infocom yet, have you?
No.
Okay, good. And last but not least,
is there an offer?
There is.
Really?
Not for you, but for somebody else.
Oh.
And our host for the week, or the 3 days that we're here, Mr. Tom LeBlanc from Commercial Integrator.
Can I get you?
Sure. Put the mic closer to your face there.
How's that?
There we go. That's good. All right. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna. It's kind of a round robin, kind of like we do Infocom and CI Summit and CEDIA and ISE and some others. Get you guys in here, get your take, and we're already locking up, which is lovely. And get some more folks in here. So Chuck, from your standpoint and from where you sit, you've moved now from the integration into advocacy and industry overarching. Specifically, you're a trainer with Infocom, but you still get to see some of the industry kind of ins and outs with manufacturers and other members.
I do, Tim. It's interesting sitting kind of behind the curtain now. Before I looked at a lot of the industry trends and the culture from an integrator standpoint. Yeah. Now I look at the different standpoints, from afar. I look at the manufacturers' viewpoints, looking at the consultants' viewpoints, and not just the integrators' viewpoints, and trying to structure training so I can serve all of those customers, all those different customers. It's very eye-opening. It's very eye-opening viewpoint from where I'm sitting now.
What's been the most surprising to you?
Probably the amount of people that have to do, the amount of people in the AV industry that don't have to do with technology.
Okay.
End users. We gear all of our stuff to make systems, to make things that people touch and people interact with. It's amazing how much of these people aren't technologically inclined. And so, looking at how manufacturers and consultants and even the integrators are starting to make systems, or have been making systems for all I know, that run for people who, they use a computer to check their email, maybe do a spreadsheet, and they have to put up presentations. They have to have their PowerPoints, at the right aspect ratio. They have to be able to get their knowledge and information up somewhere so they can impart it to other people. And looking at the different parts of the industry gear towards, we have to make it easy for these guys. They're the majority of the people that are buying our stuff. So I came from the school of thought that, like, I know everybody here knows, how to work AV, how to work a soundboard, we know how to work cameras. And I just think that everybody knows that. Yeah. And they don't.
So how do you do that? How do you, I guess the best way to ask this is, how do you design a system to where that person can use it?
You really have to think about the basics. Make it easy to interface with. Your GUI has to be very simple. It goes back to the old, you shouldn't have to do more than 3 actions to get something going. Everything you have to look at it from a non-technological standpoint. You have to look at it from the average person is going to do this. And when this thing appears, it has to be very simple for them to make decisions. And it's funny because I look at a lot of OSs now. I look at, the Mac OS, and I look at the Windows OS, and so I was looking at Windows with tiles, right? Yeah. Windows 8 with tiles. And
Windows 8 or Windows 10?
Windows 8 with the tiles, the touchscreen tiles. And someone had put a picture of like Idiocracy up, and they had like 4 things they have to push. And it had buttons like, change a baby diaper, deliver food, get my golf clubs. And they put the tiles of Windows 8 up next to it. And they're like, oh my God, we're really dumbing things down so that, you don't have to be technologically inclined to use this oh, these are the people who are buying this.
Yeah.
They're not, AV techs. They're not geniuses when it comes to technology. They're the average, everyday person, and that's everyone, outside of the AV industry. And if we want to stay in business, we kind of need to make stuff for them.
Absolutely. I run an independent programming house. When we start talking about GUI design, the one person I keep in mind is my dad. My dad's 65 years old, right? He knows enough to be dangerous. He has an iPad, so he's a little bit, more advanced, I think, than some baby boomers in his age bracket. But it's still, he doesn't know. He asked me the other day. He goes, "Should I upgrade to Windows 10?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do?" Besides go on Facebook and look at cat videos. So.
Yeah.
So, Mr. LeBlanc, where are we at when it comes to the industry? When it comes to the economics of the industry, you spend a lot of time talking with integrators as well as manufacturers and Infocom. Where do you, from the people you're talking to, where are we at? Are we good? Are we not?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that things are on the upturn. There were, a few years there where things felt a little touch and go. And there were a lot of companies that I think back when we were having those conversations a couple of years ago who aren't here at the summit this year, for instance, because they're either not around anymore or they're hanging by a thread at this point.
Yeah.
I think that the companies that are still around, that are still going to events like this, that are still talking, about projects to Commercial Integrator and to AVNation, I think that for a lot of companies that are in that inner circle, I think the industry is pretty good right now. I think there are a lot of opportunities. I think that companies are in a position to create their own destinies by, hiring the right people and training their staff appropriately so that they can adapt to the way the industry is evolving, a more network-centric industry, a more forward-thinking industry, but also a more business responsible industry than I think we had 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. You're never at a point where you can sit back and say things are good.
No.
But I think you can say that if you work hard at this point, and if you have good management structure, and you have good leaders within your company, I think you can say that the industry is in good shape right now.
Okay. This is the fourth annual. Am I correct in saying that? The fourth annual CI Summit. CE Pro Summit, which is your sister publication, has been doing it for a few more years than that. Why start the CI Summit? Why get all these integrators and these manufacturers together?
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, when we did it 4 years ago, Commercial Integrator had launched probably about a calendar year prior to the first CI Summit. And I was kind of like, why? We just launched the magazine. It's going well. The website's doing really well. Do we really want to ask people in our readership to take a couple days off of running their businesses, the thing that the very premise of our brand says you should concentrate on? Do we really want them to step away from their business and go to an event? Can we put on an event that's valuable for those people and make it worth their while? And, I was pretty hesitant, especially that first year. But the first year went well, and the next year went better. And we really hit our groove, I think, last year. And I can now say that the event has a real identity.
Mm-hmm.
I love the NSCA Business and Leadership Conference. I think that's a really good event for this industry. And I haven't been to the Infocom AV Executive Conference, but I'm told it's very good. But I really think there's a niche here. There's a lot of dialogue and interaction between folks that probably wouldn't normally be chatting with each other. I think there are a lot of opportunities for networking here that don't exist at other events easily. So I'm proud of the event that we've created, and I think it adds a lot of value to the industry.
The one thing, and last year was a unique year for me because I started out the year going to the NSCA BLC for the first time. And then I went to you guys' event, and I also went to the AV Executive Conference. 3 separate events, 3 completely different audiences, completely different experiences, right? The BLC, I think I was telling somebody earlier, BLC is like the C-level executives and the people they want to pour into, right? The AV Executive Conference is C-level, baby. I mean, it is about the CEO, the CIO, the folks who make the big, heavy decisions every day. This has got a nice mix of both, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that this has is that it's the CI and the CE Summit together, that means you're going to have some interesting cross-pollination. I love Jeremy Burkhardt, right? Jeremy Burkhardt from Origin Acoustics is here. He spoke at the event as we kicked off. But the Origin Acoustics is a primarily a residential market, right? That's who they sell to. They're going to be at CEDIA. It's a big presence at CEDIA. But I still love hearing the guy talk, and I think there's some interesting cross-pollination there.
That's good to hear for me. You know, I worked for CE Pro for years before we launched CI, and I have relationships with a lot of those residential integration firms and also the manufacturers that more specifically serve that market. So I always wonder, you know, how does the CI audience feel about that environment here, and, you know, getting exposed to brands that they aren't likely to do business with or are less likely to do business with. So it's good to hear that, you know, you guys are or you, Tim, are taking some value from it.
Just me, and you know, not just the manufacturers, but also, you know, the people, right? The integrators who are doing, you know, custom installation.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Omega Audio Video,
How are you?
I am well.
Excellent.
Why do you come?
Well, I come for a couple of reasons, but before I get to that, if I can touch on that
Sure,
point
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
made just a second ago, as somebody who has played in the resi in the commercial space for so long, this is really the only event that at least I go to where both of my worlds collide. And for somebody like you, I think it's really good for the commercial guys to really see, and I've wrote about this for years, that, you know, both sides need to know what the other side's doing. Because in the commercial space, so often we as commercial guys, we have no idea what the high end or the cutting edge resi companies are doing, because we don't play in that world. But all of our clients usually do. So they see stuff at home that they want to see then in their boardroom. And then we complain when somebody wants an Apple TV or something like that. And, you know, rightfully so sometimes, but there is a huge client collaboration there on the client side that we as integrators don't always see. And this is one of those few environments where we get to see that.
From the decision makers, in other words.
Exactly. Yeah, because those guys that are running those monster boardrooms or those monster venues, they usually have nice systems at home, and vice versa. If they've got it in their boardroom space or their office or whatever, they want that at home so they can work at home with the same type of collaboration or interactivity that they've got in their offices. It's a two-way street, and I think for too long the industries or the two separate industries have kind of shied away from working together on stuff. So as somebody who's, again, played in both of those worlds, it's nice to see. And so thanks for doing that.
Why do you guys think there aren't more firms that have, you know, kind of an equal balance of commercial and residential clients?
Completely different worlds. I'm not just trying to be flip about it, because okay, so Burkhardt mentioned the whole margin thing, right? When it comes to speaker margins and manufacture product margins, let's put it that way, right? And I'm not going to get in displays because there are no margins in displays, and we kind of all agree on that. But you've got it's a business plan, right? It's a unique business plan for commercial, and it's a unique business plan for residential, right? One of my very good friends, Rich Fergoza, calls himself a digital concierge, right? He programs Crestron systems, very talented, does really, really well in higher end residential. Can also kick the crap out of most pro programmers I know. But that's how to massage the homeowner and walk them through. There are certain project managers that I have to deal with as an independent programmer that have no business talking to the wife at, you know, or the husband at home when, you know, they've asked them for the umpteenth time to give them a different shade of fuchsia or whatever.
I will say that there are many times where, you know, I'll look back at what we're doing corporately and go, yeah, this would be a lot easier if we just did one. And, you know, my whole business really started out of working in one realm and having that expand into resi and just keep to, you know, kind of growing from there. But it's not really something that I would recommend for somebody to jump in right off the bat and say, hey, I'm going to work in two completely different realms, because they are. As much as they connect, it's different product lines, it's different suppliers, manufacturer. Like, it is as much as there is crossover, there isn't crossover. Just as you said, it's something where it's just very different. They are two different markets, but I think the technologies cross over so much that again, the guys should see both sides.
They do. The clientele though.
I think you're right about the technologies crossing over, but to me, the difference between commercial and residential, like the technologies are about the only thing that are the same. We have a TV and we have speakers and we have something
Yes.
to get sound out.
Yes.
And that's like saying, the guys that work to customize race cars. Race cars and luxury cars are totally different. They have tires, they have seats and steering.
Yes.
But that's about it. And just in the residential, your end user is the one who's signing the check.
Yes.
Which in commercial, that's not usually the case.
Yeah.
Your end user in commercial is the guy that they bring in afterward to operate the system, and he has no say in how the system's made. Your end user in commercial is going to be probably the only one viewing that screen, or a small group of their close-knit family or friends, whereas in commercial, it's going to be hundreds of people going through that boardroom. Yeah. So, and aside of that, the technology is just being completely different. I don't know how many times I've had someone who said, "I have a great system at home, so we want to put it in our boardroom." I really want to have this 7.1 surround sound in my conference room.
Well, yeah,
because PowerPoint sounds so good in 7.1 surround
and
sound.
I have to try and nicely put it to him, like, no, we're not even going to be stereo, bro. Like, this is going to be a mono system. It's going to be distributed out so everybody hears the exact same thing, not for a single source point. Like, you're not zeroing the sound on one area. You have to make it the same over this big space. And so, like, the technologies do cross over, but like the displays have a remote, and that's about it. It's going to be a different design, a different market. Your project manager, your end user, your purchaser is all one person. And you have to let them talk to you about the 16 shades of fuchsia. I mean, if you want to keep the business,
you do.
You have to entertain that conversation.
And that takes a certain attitude. That takes a certain mentality to go through. All right, I'm going to let you guys go wrap up here real quick. Chuck, not only are you at Infocom, but you're also part of a very wonderful podcast. How is that going?
That's going great. It was a very, very interesting. It's the first time I got involved in anything like
It's called AV Power Up.
AV Power Up.
And it's on Rave Pubs.
On Rave Pubs. And the first time I got involved in anything like that, I didn't know what I was getting into. And I kind of ended up as the snarky comic relief on the show. And at the very end of the show, I talk about the power up of the show. And it's usually some lesson about audio, video, about technology, about UC, and ends up being like the wise guy of the show drops the knowledge. It's kind of a funny mix, and we usually have great guests. We have a great crew on there: Hope Roth and Krista Bender, some of the 40 under 40,
240 under 40,
actually 340,
Jeremy Caldera,
340 under 40s, and those guys are incredible. I feel very privileged to be on the air with everyone on the show. AV Power Up, you can catch it on Rave Pubs Radio.
No, very good. Thank you, sir. Mr. LeBlanc, anything other than this week in the CI Summit? Yeah, and the 40 under 40 episode of Commercial Integrator?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited about that 40 under 40 coverage, and Craig McCormick does a great job with it, and we're really proud to kind of illustrate that there are so many young and up and coming and smart people in this industry, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in. So we're really proud of that coverage. But Commercial Integrator, TechDecisions. You can find us on Twitter at ComIntegrator, and you can find us pretty much everywhere if you Google us.
Yeah, Tom is at LeBlanc Tom. Mr. Espinoza is Mad Sound Guy.
At Mad Sound Guy.
Yeah. Mr. Omega Audio Video. Anything you want to promote? Tweet?
No, I'm good.
Okay. He's at Omega Audio Video, or at Matt D. Scott.
People know me. I'm easy to find.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll get the next group in
Thanks
here.
a lot, Tim.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, you can put your headset on. All right, here we go. All right, now we are joined by Mr. Dan Newman, our resident millennial. How are you?
They'll let anybody on this.
I know. I think I owe you $20 or something.
No, I think Tom Berry.
Tom Berry owes us all $20.
Tom Berry owns John Green. John Green, if you're out there listening,
We've got your $20.
We're working on it.
you're probably the one.
Mr. Griffin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, Tim.
How's Denver?
It's great.
Good.
So far, so good.
He just moved from LA to the beautiful mountain state of Colorado.
I did.
Still working in Resi.
Yes, sir. I'm actually here with George Harrison, of Beatles' namesake. And George is the owner of the new company I'm with. I'm going to be doing sales and business development with him, and I'm super excited to get started.
All right, very good. And last but not least, the person whose suite we're in, Harry Meade. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
This is nice.
This thing's freaking huge.
Well, let's be honest here. It's not Harry's suite. It's Don's suite that Harry gets to stay in.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to.
But we're married, so what's hers is not mine.
It depends on the state. California is like 50-50. That's why he moved to Denver. You realize that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
know your laws.
Yes. So first of all, why do you come to the CE summit? Because you're getting the commercial integrator side.
Yeah. Well, this is actually my first time coming to the show, and I was just honored to be invited. I think it's so far so good. I mean, we've only been here for a little while, but I'm really looking forward to the show and just learning a lot from fellow integrators. I feel like, we go out to CEDIA and we learn a lot of that show, but it's sort of like drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's mirrored to a little bit more of an intimate setting and be around fellow systems integrators and commercial guys and residential guys and get us all together and see what kind of best practices and ideas we can all share with one another. So really excited to be here.
I think, and I'm going to correct myself, I think you're one of two residential folks we're going to have. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Tom. Economically, right? And again, you got two separate, you just got to Denver, so I'm not going to ask you that. But globally, because you talk to folks, where do you think the commercial and the commercial, the residential side of our business is economically? Are we good? Are we bad? Where are we?
Oh, right now it's very strong. Yeah. I mean, like you alluded to, I'm still learning the Denver market, but part of the reason why I was driven to look at Denver when I wanted to get out of Los Angeles is because I know that it's a very strong market right now. And the same can be said for a lot of areas right now of our country, at least. Obviously, this business is bigger than the United States,
yes,
and this is all happening internationally, and I can't really speak to that. But right now is a strong market for residential. We are up against some forces that we've been talking about just in roundtables already in terms of the burgeoning kind of DIY market and how do we deal with that, and kind of learning how to price our services and things of that nature with margins shrinking and all of that. So, it's not to say that there aren't challenges, but I think overall right now, it's one of the best markets that we've seen in quite a while. And, I'm happy to say that, happy to be part of it.
What part of DIY do you think is your biggest challenge? Is it the big box home improvement stores, or is it the Amazon and the Apple and the Google?
I think it's more a matter for me of like eroding product margins. I think that
welcome to commercial.
Yeah.
Well, yes, there is that.
Sorry. Yeah, that's just kind of how the game works, I guess. Margins go away, and you just have to figure it out. But I think that one of the sessions that I was in today, they were actually talking about. We sort of had this conception that. Sales are all going online, and they actually showed some numbers of a study. I can't quote the study, but it's actually a very, very small percentage of retail sales overall of products across the board that are actually happening online. And there's a very large percentage of sales that are actually happening still in retail, but they're being more influenced by online. So I think as integrators, we have to be conscious of that and make sure that, our integration firms are getting listings up on Yelp and user reviews, and making sure that we're leveraging YouTube and social media and things of that nature to just make sure that we're proactively managing our online reputations. And I think overall, it's more a matter of just dealing with the eroding margins and figuring out how we move more to a service-based pricing model.
Do services like Yelp and like Angie's List and things of that nature, does that help you guys get in the door? Services like that have rating systems that have, hey, I used Jason and his company and they're really great.
I mean, I think it can. This is the big $20,000 question to me though is really as integrators, we need to be focusing on building the core of our business, meaning the jobs that are the most profitable to us. And where, over all my years in residential, where those jobs come from typically is partnerships with architects, designers, and builders. And these are people that aren't necessarily looking for us on Yelp or on YouTube. And I think we hear a lot about managing our online reputations and doing social media. And I'm a believer in the value of that. But at the same time, I think a lot of our, the bigger challenge is figuring out, how do we get in front of more architects, designers, and builders, especially in this hot market when there's so much work going on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you got to go get your
I do.
you guys' thing. Thank you so much. Your two podcasts, one with Nick and who I always forget. It's you and somebody, and who's
Seth Johnson.
Seth Johnson. Okay.
Yeah. So I've got two shows. HomeTech.fm is with Seth Johnson, and that's a show just kind of all about the smart home, sort of a news and opinion show. And then I do AV Shop Talk with Nate, Nate Schneider, and that's a monthly show where we bring on sort of a subject matter expert from across the world of systems integration. So that spans residential, commercial, alike, and we enjoy doing both of those.
All right, very good. How can people find you?
Twitter at Jason Griffin. There's a G at the end, so don't forget that.
Yeah.
And Tim, I appreciate you having me on.
Okay, thanks, Jason.
All right,
enjoy your week.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right. If somebody wants to take Jason's spot, you're more than welcome. I don't care who. Oh, Harry.
Tim.
How is your? I shouldn't say how is your week. This is our first day here. Why do you come to this? Why attend the CI Summit?
Because it's 45 minutes down the road.
Okay, it is in DC, and Harry and Dawn live in Maryland. Yes, it's 45 minutes away.
Oh,
Kelly's going to join us.
Who's down with KPP?
Yeah.
I come, especially last year. We picked up a lot of good things. Just to hear how other people are doing business, how other people are getting through the day-to-day of the processes and everything else that Director of Operations Club will
What are we talking about?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Harry's talking about business and why he comes to the CI Summit. I know you just popped
Okay.
in. So I like to come here and get. It's a better venue than say Infocom. Infocom's crazy, and you're looking at products. Here you're looking at some products, but it's mostly the interaction with people.
Okay.
And the being able to talk to different people, and again see how they're doing things in their business.
All right, Mr. Newman.
Are you falling asleep over
He's
there?
falling asleep.
I've been sitting here a long time.
You haven't been sitting here that long.
I have that effect on people.
Now, I will tell you, he has to go to bed pretty soon because he and I are on a breakfast panel tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
And I cannot wait.
Me either.
For
I'm
that.
just gonna
It's
ring
going to be a
his
lot
bell.
of fun.
You're going to
I'm
heckle the
excited.
crap
Were
out
you
of
asking me a question, or
I
were you
was.
just saying my name?
No, I was actually asking you a question.
What was the question?
I don't remember. Seriously,
Why do you come to the CI Summit?
why do you come to the summit? I mean, because here's the thing, and if you don't know,
Mr. CE speaker.
if you don't know who Dan is, Dan has written 4 books. 2 of them are halfway decent. I didn't read the other 2 that he gave me. I did read them; they were good.
TLDR.
But Dan was probably one of the youngest CEOs. Yes, thank you. Dan's probably one of the youngest CEOs in the commercial realm of AV. You ran United Visual. You were less than 30.
Yes.
Not exactly a bad pedigree, and now you're on to consulting and writing and podcasting and doing all sorts of things. So why hang out with us?
Why are you here?
Why are you here? Feels like a fraternity party I wasn't supposed to be at.
But you're here, so
Why are you here? I have a lot of love for this industry. I can't seem to let it go. It's like a vortex. It just sucks you back in. I think I'm here to debate Mike Shinn. I'm pretty sure that's really what inspired me to come here. To be totally honest,
I think that's going to happen, and that's another reason I'm so
That's gonna be
excited
a
for
lot of
tomorrow
it
morning.
is. And Mike Shinn is ops manager of IMS.
Yeah,
and
we'll
he'll
get
be on our
there.
panel tomorrow.
We'll get there. But this is the 3rd year. I've written for CI Summit since Kelly was in her 20s.
So 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. See, there was a ba-doom boom thing going to happen there. So
Thank you.
I don't have sound effects on my show.
I do love, this industry we're born out of it. I've been a manufacturer. I've been a manufacturer's rep. I've been an integrator. I've been a consultant. I've done everything, and I can't quite let it go. I'm about to break into a song, Passenger.
Don't. No, I was going to say, I thought you were going to
I can't sing.
I thought you were going to start.
I got to let her go. But I believe that the relationships are what matter. And I'm not going to lie. I have a lot of customers here. I mean, it's good to go see all my customers.
Well, you do. But here's the thing. And I'm going to toot your horn for you, even though you probably won't. You're getting ready to do a keynote for a small little technology company called HP, right?
Yeah.
And
so,
nothing against this wonderful group here and these wonderful people. I love these people. I hang out. These are our people. We're going to freaking talk to HP, dude.
Yeah, I've had the chance to talk to a lot of cool companies. I'm doing some work for IBM, SAP, HP, Dell. I hosted Dell World last year, which was cool for 100,000 people.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it's like roots. It's kind of like you go home. And this is home for me. This industry is home for me. This industry is where a lot of success. It inspired my first book, my second book. And a lot of my experiences have been influenced by this industry. What I want to debate I don't want to debate innovation to be I don't want to be an asshole. Is this thing rated?
No.
Yeah, okay. But
we're drinking. There will be swearing.
I think the point is that I want to see this industry succeed. So some people naysay it because they want to just be confrontational or contentious. I just want to challenge people to think differently. I want to challenge people to think about, it goes back to the quote. I used this earlier. I don't know if I told it to you. I've been quoting it a lot lately. I wrote an article for NSCA about the digital vortex. And it was a 2008 quote from John Antioco. John was the CEO of Blockbuster Video. And he was quoted saying, I don't understand what this big issue with Netflix is and what, they don't do anything and don't have any capabilities that we don't already have. 5 years down the line, Blockbuster Video is closing its last 300 stores and it's out of business.
Yeah.
So this industry, I believe, is a little bit complacent. I believe it's a little comfortable that what it's selling today or the capabilities that it has to sell today are going to be enough 3, 5, 7 years down the line. Not just, as a marketer, of course, I want them to tell the story better. But as a technologist, I want them to understand what technology buyers and decision makers are actually interested in. And it's about business results. You do anything in business about business results. It's about more connectivity, more productivity, better communications, improved collaborations, happier customers. All the technology they buy has to do with those things. We talk way too much in this industry about tech for the sake of technology. Nobody buys technology to solve technology problems. People buy technology to solve business problems.
Yep.
And I want to make sure that that is understood and that the people that are leading the thinking in our industry understand the relationship with technology trends and business outcomes.
I like it. That works.
All right, Kelly, get me back.
All right. Ms. Perkins, this is your first time as an integrator because a few years ago you were working for Vadio, did a very good job there, but now you're with AVI Systems.
Yes.
So how is this? It's your first day, so but still, how is your first
day here?
Yeah,
40 under 40.
40 under 40.
So there's a reason that these people care. It's not, unfounded that they want to understand better how to connect to these people. The problem is it's unfounded to say, I run a company and I've worked with this many millennials. And if you're an AV company, even if you're a big one, it's a few hundred. You probably worked with a dozen.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, this is how you make millennials happy. This is why they suck. It just doesn't work like that. And what I came away from that, I don't know how you came away from it.
It's interesting though, because we were talking earlier today, and it's like it's generalizing, it's stereotyping a group of people who are a certain age. But it depends on your company's culture. It depends on your company's leadership. It depends on your company's the market, the segment, what type of company they are, whether they're a small little, mom and pop shop, whether they're a big corporation.
Yep.
I mean, we were talking today and at our table, and it's like some of the guys were discussing, we're millennials, they're kind of know-it-alls, they're entitled, and I'm like, yeah, I'll straight up throw it out there though. Some of the only millennials I've ever met that I feel like are entitled or are know-it-alls are relatives, children of the leadership of companies I've worked for, people who got ins from friends and whatnot. And to be frank, I feel like a lot of the millennials, especially in our industry, are totally the underdogs, the technicians, the installers, the people that probably, no offense, make the crap amount of money, that do a ton of the work, that are facing the customers, that are underappreciated, that don't get to be a part of the company culture because they're not there, because they're actually in the field working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to a couple of people at my table, they were boomers. They basically were just a lot of the typical rhetoric about they're just so unappreciative. And I asked the question, I just said to him, I said, well, why would anybody really be excited about working for your company? And it was like crickets. I mean, It was like crickets. And it wasn't anything in particular. It's just that this industry, what's cool? I mean, what is really cool about it? Why would someone not want to work at Google and want to work at an AV integration company? Why would somebody be extremely excited about making $38,000 a year, working 50 or 55 hours a week as an installer? I'm just saying, that's the problem. Tell a better story.
And that's the problem, and that's what our industry has to be better at. We have to throw in some of that innovative stuff and say, guys, our company's creating this amazing new product, this amazing new technology. We're killing it with these trends. We're going to be not here. We're going to be on the forefront of stuff. And I think we have a lot of issues marketing ourselves. We have a lot of issues. We do. We have a lot of issues explaining to the rest of the world outside of our tiny little, bubble, what it is we do and how cool it is.
Right.
I'm married to AV Dawn. I don't have that problem.
Well, it goes back to the Simon Sinek, why we do what we do, right? Why, start with why, because everybody knows what they do, and most companies know how they do it, but very few companies know why they do it. And that's a problem. Like I said, it's a cultural problem. We just don't create a lot of excitement. And I speak from a side of, I had the opportunity to do it, and I didn't necessarily knock it out of the park when I was in that role of being able to do it, because we get very tactical in what we do. It's a very tactical gig. Like we were hired to do these 8 rooms, and we wake up and we go work on these 8 rooms. And, this next generation, not just this next generation, it's just people want to feel like they're working towards something. They want to feel like they're growing into something. That's not a millennial thing. That's my issue is nothing anybody says is wrong about what millennials want. It's just what everybody I've ever met wants.
And that's the one thing that I take issue with is somebody in one of the sessions said that millennials want to belong to something, right? I'm a Gen Xer. I want to belong to something. I mean, that was this whole.
I thought the best part of everything that I've seen today so far was millennials don't group millennials into a group. Now here's what they all think.
Don't generalize them.
Don't generalize them. But you're going to have to do these things.
But you have to give them all an iPhone watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have to have flex time.
And they all have to have
and they want to be paid a lot.
And a buffet.
Trust me, I said this.
And the lunch buffet.
I've never met anyone that doesn't want to make a lot of money. I've met people that care less about making a lot of money, but I've never met anyone that's like, if you could make a lot, would you like it? Maybe Gandhi. He was like the one, right?
He was the one.
I'm just saying, as a whole, people like to make money. As a whole, people want to be a part of something. It's why you join churches. It's why you join clubs. It's why you join fraternities. It's why you join political parties. People do it because they want to associate with others that believe what they believe, right? They want to find others that believe. So a company has to believe something. It has to believe something. And most companies, small businesses, and we all are part of small businesses here, I can say it. I don't do it well enough in my company, and I'm sure you guys would say in yours, of just continuously not just talking about it, but living it. What do you believe? Why do you do what you do every day? Should your people get up and be excited about it? And why should a millennial, a Gen X, a boomer, or some 113-year-old that still wants to work for your company wake up every day and be excited about it? And most people in the room cannot say that. They cannot share that.
13-year-old, he's just happy to wake up.
I'm just saying, I don't want to just limit it to those 3 generations. And by the way, Kelly,
it's not a new idea.
No.
It's if you read like the Harvard Business Review 101 Essentials or whatever, that's the first chapter.
Yep.
You know, you have to work for a company that believes in your morals, that believes in,
that you align with.
Yeah, it's your idea that you're going to work for a purpose, that you're going to work for something better. It's not a new idea. It's just I think it's different in maybe the baby boomer era, and I could be wrong too, but
I don't think so, because you're talking about, God love them, you're talking about the hippies, right?
Oh.
And my dad and my mom was, that was their generation,
My parents were weekend hippies. They were like conservative during the week, and
my mom was never a hippie. Let's just
and
so
then
they
on the weekends,
my dad
they took their VW bus and went out and camped. And
so they drove to Colorado and then went back to Nebraska every week.
That was my parents.
Yeah. So
all right.
I was gonna say that was him, more mid.
Yeah, I'm Midwest.
He's Midwest.
Mr. Harry Meade, thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Where can people find you?
At AV Grump, as in grumpy,
As in
I am the contrarian who pops holes in people's pie in the sky theories.
and I love you for it.
I know.
NetAV.
NetAV is where I work.
Net-AV.com.
I can't talk. How many of these have I had? There we go.
Yeah.
Net-AV.com.
There we go. AVI Systems, Kelly Perkins. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you very much at AVI_Kelly in this amazing suite.
Sweet. I forget. You're Broad Suite. You're everything else now, Mr. Dan Newman.
follow me everywhere.
Your podcast.
I rock.
Where can we find your podcast?
On the internet.
You have podcasts. I know you do. I listen to them.
Do you want me to start listing off things that people can find me
just
on?
your main source.
God damn. Tell us where to find you.
Follow me on Twitter at Daniel Newman UV, the longest Twitter handle in the world. Follow me there. You will see 150,000 tweets a day. Plenty of great information can be found there. Thank you to this good-looking group. And I'm sorry I dragged the quality of the conversation down with my slow delivery of my podcast location.
That's all right.
That's what editing is for.
It took me a good 5 minutes to get started, so you're good.
It took me at least 3 to 4 years.
You started?
It took me 3 to 4 years to get started. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let's get the next group in.
My first time with Dan Newman. Can you cut that out?
Yes.
My first time.
George is at home. Yeah, George is at home. George actually might be watching this. Hi, George. All right, come on, put those on, dude. This is not your first time.
George is waiting for you to get those on.
George is waiting for you. All right, now, here we go. Mr. Mike Shinn from IMS. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. Andrea Medeiros. Thank you. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing wonderfully.
And you are from Tech Home Builder as well as AE Ventures, and you guys are the ones physically putting this on.
Yes, we are, and we're super excited to be doing it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And Mr. Steve Greenblatt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Control Concepts. Put that a little bit closer to your mouth there, sir. How's that?
All right.
There we are. All right. Very
See
good.
ya.
So this is not either of any of the three of ours first time. at this event. So Steve, we'll start with you. Why do you come to the event? Why do you, as Tom LeBlanc said in an earlier session, they're asking folks to take 3 days out of their schedule, 3 days out of their busy schedule as they're running the business to come here and not only get some, but we also give, right? We have panels and we talk to manufacturers and stuff. So why do you do it?
Well, we spend a lot of time talking about technology, and this is a good time to get a mix. We're like, you don't often get a chance to talk about the business side of things. You also don't get a chance to talk and network with the different type of people that you would normally do. It's a nice cross section. I mean, I don't necessarily know the residential side, but it's nice that everybody's is brought together because we are one big industry. But you have to think of things. Where are we going to be in 6 months? Where are we going to be in a year? And these are the types of events where you explore that, where you talk about what are the challenges, what are the solutions, what is your neighbor, your competitor, your colleague doing that you're not, or what are the problems that you have that they may help you be able to solve, I think we spend this time brainstorming. So I just feel like it's a very different feel than maybe a trade show. It's more of a conference. It's more of I think a thought session.
Okay. Very good. Andrea, two-part question here for you. First of all, what's something that the three of us are attendees here, right? What's something that as an attendee that we wouldn't necessarily notice, but you guys are awfully proud of, or maybe something behind the scenes that you guys have done?
Actually, this afternoon, I moderated an event called Home Tech Insights, and you can look that up on the website. It's basically an event. We had 4 integrators there talking to the consumer base about who the integrator is and why the integrator is important in the smart home, and not only just important to technology in general. Even if you're installing something like a Nest thermostat, how important a strong network is, how important a strong wireless connection is. And if that connection fails, the integrator comes in and can remotely fix it without even coming to your home. And not only that, the importance of security. I'm not sure how many of you saw that Nightline report where they were talking about do-it-yourself technologies and how easy it was to hack into them. So we're kind of talking about how that's why professionally installed systems work. That's why you need an integrator. We touched on that. We also touched on how important the relationships are between the integrator and the builder right now, and also how it's kind of transformed over the past decade, where the integrator's coming in earlier on in the process. They're coming in during the planning stages, because not only do we need technology to work, but we need technology to look good in the home. So just kind of some trends that are going on, and kind of talking to consumers in the media, because I was in the media. I was a news reporter. So we see at the smart home, okay, we got some lighting, we got some smart thermostats, we can control them on our smartphones. That's kind of cool. But nobody's really thinking about the network behind it. And just trying to tell the consumers that that's where the integrator comes in to make sure all those devices work seamlessly together. Because it's not like your cable box not working and you getting a little bit angry about it. It's like, my door locks aren't working, and that's kind of a big deal. Or someone can get in that you don't want to get in. So that was part of the show that really wasn't as much out in the open, but we will be putting that video together and getting it on the Home Tech Insights website, and of course on our YouTube page. So that's something that you guys can check out after the fact. So not only building relationships between all of you integrators, but telling the consumer, hey, look at these guys. They're doing a pretty major thing in the smart home market.
How do you coordinate that with getting those end users, with getting those consumers?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you say, hey, we have this event over here, will you come join us? Or
Well, we're not having consumers at the event, but basically where the Home Tech Insights video will go is on a website for the media. So it's for the media to take in, and the media talks to the consumer. So it's kind of changing the way the media sees the smart home, changing the way the media talks about the smart home, opening the media's eyes to the fact that there's not just a builder and an architect. There are these other guys. I call them the silent forces behind the smart home, you know?
I like that.
I kind of compared you guys to the Dark Knights, you know, like Batman. you come in
You don't
behind
want
the
to see me in a
scenes,
Batman suit.
making sure everything works. You know, I made it
the joke?
glamorous for you guys.
Always be yourself, unless you can be Batman, in which case always be Batman. Mr.
And
Which I am.
There's actually a video on the Home Tech Insights page now that compares the integrator to Batman, so you guys should check it out.
All right.
I think you'd feel really good about yourselves after it.
Okay.
Probably better than I would if I were actually in tights. So
Don't, please, Mike.
Just put that in.
There's not enough scotch in this glass. All right.
There's not enough scotch in the Gaylord.
Mr. Shinn, why do you come to the CI Summit, sir?
Threefold. Number one, partnerships. 2, education. 3, exchanging of ideas. So I love this event. You know, I put it on the same scale as the BLC because it gives me the opportunity to meet and make new partnerships with manufacturers and fellow integrators, which is very important. The education aspect in terms of the presentations and the content that is being presented is something that we all, I think, need to stay on top of as quickly as everything changes in our industry, constantly looking to see what's new and what's out there. And that's also with the way that this event is put together, being educated by the manufacturers on their new product lines or whatever their new product is that they're using this platform of sponsorship to get in front of us, but also to learn from the keynote speakers and from the breakout sessions and the presenters. That's very important. And then the exchanging of ideas. I mean, the roundtable discussions are among the best.
Yeah.
And it really is important for us to figure out where are we, as to par in the industry. Are we above? Are we below? And can we all, as a group, raise the bar up? So that's why I love this event. That's why I come every year.
The one thing that I was talking with the ownership group that owns Innovet, and they were asking where I was headed today, and I told I saw it. And the other thing that came out of last year for me was I got 2 really good qualified leads. Now, we're subcontractor, right? Innovet is a subcontractor. Steve, Commercial Control Concepts, is a subcontractor. But the other thing that has happened was partnerships, right? You're in the Philly area, right? You have other integrators. Jason Griffin is in Denver, right? He's residential, but still you kind of get where I'm going here, where maybe that there's a client that you have that is opening an office in Denver, right? And you've made a contact and you say, hey, you know what? There's some stuff we can do. We can help you design it, but we don't have anybody in Denver or in LA or Seattle or what have you. Here is a place where you can exchange ideas, you can trade business cards, and start forming partnerships that allow you to kind of give and take, right? I mean, where it's you're still taking care of your client, because honestly, that's the bottom line, is taking care of your client and also just kind of expanding, becoming a little bit more of that knowledge leader for your client.
I've done 4 projects in the last year with partners that I met at CI last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's absolutely, in my opinion, one of the absolute biggest benefits to coming and being able to make those connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like people put their guard down at an event like this too? Sometimes it's difficult to get people to open up about kind of secrets in the industry. I found at events like this, people are more open to tell you what they're doing and what's been working for them rather than just calling them up on the phone. Because it's kind of like that camaraderie thing. So people are willing to open up. And that seems to be what's really successful about the event as well.
A couple of things that helps that are some sort of libation and food. and I say that somewhat jokingly, but it really does help. I mean, because when you break bread with someone, when you sit down and you I met 2 or 3 folks tonight even that I had never met before, right? And through common friends, I think Mike introduced me to somebody, Tom Berry introduced me to somebody, and Tom Berry's with Varix. He's here somewhere, I'm sure. But it's these common relationships, and I've written about this before, and several people smarter than me have too, where this business is like a lot of others. It really does come down to relationships, because you can look at my resume and see that I have a CTS and I have this certification and that certification, big freaking deal. But if somebody from St. Louis who knows Steve calls up and says, hey, I have a problem and I need a programmer, let me flip that, because I don't know quite what Steve would say. If somebody called me who's in New Jersey and says, hey, Tim, I need somebody in New Jersey, I know Steve well enough and know that he does a good enough job I would have no problem referring him, right?
Yeah.
Because I know him. I know his quality work.
You know what he's like when he's
I do.
drunk. Just kidding.
I do. And vice versa, unfortunately. All right. On that note, Mr. Greenblatt, how can people find you and your tech talk and everything else?
Our website is controlconcepts.net, and I'm at Steve Greenblatt on Twitter and other social media. And Mark Levecchia and I are doing a technology managers community that we have to put a little bit more effort into, but it's still there, and we're going to rejuvenate it. It's techtalkav.com.
Okay. Mr. Shinn, IMS?
IMStechnologyservices.com. I'm all over Twitter, LinkedIn, at AXPMike.
Go Giants.
Go Giants. Go G-Men, although it's not looking that great this year.
I'll trade you.
Okay.
I'm a Bears fan.
We'll be better than the Bears.
Yes, exactly. That's everybody's mantra this year. We're better than the Bears. Miss Andrea Medeiros, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
Everywhere. You can follow me at Andrea A. Medeiros on Twitter. Also, we are running the CECI_summit on Twitter, so you can follow us there. On the Tech Home Builder side, we're on Facebook under Tech Home Builder, LinkedIn under Tech Home Builder, Twitter under Tech Home Builder. So we're all over the place. And of course, you can check out that Home Tech Insights page to find out what we're putting out to the media after this event.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll get the next group in here.
Thanks.
All right. Last segment. Yo. All right. Here we go. As we wrap up this wonderful session, Joe Legato, how are you, sir?
Well, thank you. Yourself?
Good. I just met Joe tonight. This is one of the guys I just met. So
I've known Joe for a while.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is Chris Neto. If you don't recognize that voice,
How you doing?
and last but not least, the host, our real host. This is Dawn Meade.
Hello.
AV Dawn.
The host of the Sweet Suite.
She's
Fabulous Suite.
She's the host of the Sweet Suite. Tell people real quickly why in the world we're here.
Okay, so if you're at the CECI Summit this week and they contact you within a week or so and say, hey, tell us about your experience at the summit and tell us why you like the summit or what you got out of it for your company, fill out the form, respond to them, because as a result of filling it out last year when they asked me, they had a thing that they came out 3 times since last year's summit called Champions of Change. And my submission was selected as the Champion of Change winner. And as a result, my husband and I have been here since Saturday in this kick-ass suite. Sorry, put it any other way.
Yeah.
And had a lot of fabulous prizes in addition to the crazy suite. Plus, the company got press. So, as the director of marketing, from my boss was happy with me.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
I had my job done and got free prizes. So definitely fill out the form.
Winner chicken dinner.
It's winner chicken.
Exactly.
Does this mean you get to take off the rest of the year?
I know.
Oh.
It'd be nice, but
It would be. Joe, is this your first time here?
It is.
It is?
Well, at the summit, no, this is my second
At
year.
the summit, okay. So take last year into account. Take what we've learned so far today. Why do you come?
To try and learn as much as I can from obviously people like yourself. We're a growing company. We started about 3 years ago within an existing company, so we're trying to adopt a lot of processes, try to adapt to a lot of the growth in the industry, and really just absorb as much information as I can.
Yeah, Mr. Neto, why do you come?
Come hang out with you.
Well, there's that.
What else is there? No.
You could just come to St. Louis for that.
Yeah, I could do that, but then I would have to go through the ARC, as people called it today.
Why do you come to
Arch.
CI Summit?
Why do I come to CI Summit? To be honest with you, it's a good mix of different walks of the AV people. I guess is the best way to put it. Next door, you have CI. You have CI Summit, which is where we're in. You have the CE Pro guys next door, guys like Jason Griffin, who was on the show recently. I love the gray areas. I want to see more of that bleed of the two, because I'm sure there's things that I could learn, similar to what Joe said. There's things that I can learn from the CE Pro side of the business and bring it over to ours. I think that's the one component that I'm hoping to see more of this year. You know, and then every show that we come, you know, it's the ideas, it's the thoughts. There's people that are going to sit here and tell us, you know, about business as a service. And we're not here to learn about 4K, because this is not it's not the area for that. This is a business conference.
Yeah.
So, you know, to listen to Joe, for example, and the model that he has, compare that to what Matt Scott does, you know, in his commercial, more like commercial stuff, where these guys are more, you know, involved in the LAN, the IT, the AV, and the whole building infrastructure. You know, it's a little bit, you know, taking the two and seeing what comes out of it. It's the future of AV. It's listening and taking these ideas and forming, you know, where my company will one day go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Don, why do you come?
Well, this year definitely because
Well, this year because you got a freaking suite, yes.
Well, I mean,
Because I twisted your arm.
I was invited to last year's event for the first time because I was one of the 40 under 40 and title, which doesn't apply anymore necessarily on either count. But it's similar to the BLC, the NSCA BLC, Business and Leadership Conference. It's similar to Infocom's AV Executive Conference, the AVAC. And what makes the three events so similar and so wonderful, unlike Infocom itself or, you know, a manufacturer-specific show, is that you are talking business concepts. You're put in a room with one or two or several experts speaking to you on a particular topic, but then you sit at a table with other people that own or are high up in their companies that have the same problems as you. They have the same challenges as you. They have the same issues, the same bright ideas, or the same, how the heck do I figure that out kind of things. You know, and if anyone's watched or listened to our show for any length of time, Tim here founded us, but you sort of founded us because like you were a guy that went to Infocom and found all these great people and started talking to people that had great ideas or different parts of the world that had the same issue as you. And the fact that you were able to talk to them and figure out how they approached it versus the way you've been approaching it, and that energy that you get from feeding off of each other, that's what spawned AVNation. But it's also what makes events like the CECI Summit, the AVAC, the BLC so compelling, because they're an opportunity for us to feed off of each other. It's kind of vampiric, but you know, feed off of each other to get ideas, share and exchange info. It's the excitement and the friendships.
Well, and Andrea Medeiros just asked, you know, if we thought that people had let their guard down right here, and they do. I mean, Infocom is a lot. You know, Harry said it's very technology driven, and it is. And for whatever reason, folks have guard up there, right? I mean, there are parties and there are slivers of you know, walls coming down.
Right.
But here, almost as soon as you get your registration, you get your little name tag. You know, you're going to see somebody that you've known for years, and they're going to introduce you to somebody who's going to introduce you to somebody else, and there is that camaraderie.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, from your standpoint, you're in the New Jersey area?
Correct.
Where do you think we are economically as an industry?
Well, the growth that we're experiencing is astronomical. I mean, our company historically is a structured cabling company. So we started up the AV division about 3 years ago. And in 3 years, we've gone from 0 to 20 million just in AV.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Thank you. So it's been quite a proud accomplishment for us, and we see no signs of it slowing down, especially in our area. It's so competitive. A lot of the major integrators are in the area, and we're able to compete, and our value proposition to our clients is a little bit more unique than the typical integrator. We have structured cabling, we have security, we have AV, we have electrical. So we can bring a lot of those major components to a project where they're working with one source, one company for that solution, and they're not working with 4 different companies. So it's been very advantageous for us in our growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can own the customer.
Exactly.
But here's a prime example. Here's 2 guys from New York who at one point were working across the street from each other. And here we are sitting in the same room talking about what the industry can do better. And that's the point to these type of things, is that at the end of the day, though we work for, you know, competitors, you know, in this case, I'm no longer a competitor, and I work with them as consultant integrator type thing. But, you know, coming to this, and like you said, Dawn, you hear the gripes, you hear the moans. Where are we going? The uniqueness of this is that they add the components of what are we doing with the young millennials? What are we doing with the next wave of how we are going to do business as an industry? You know, you're going to hear a lot of conversation coming from our tweets and all that about, you know, selling service as a solution. And yeah, that's the right way. But we've been talking a lot as an industry about that. Where's the meat and potatoes? Where is that service? Who's got the examples of service as a solution and are willing to talk about it? And there are people that will talk about, listen, this is how we're doing it, and this is what's working for us.
Well, and to be fair, that's one of the things that I said was a major benefit of my attendance last year, was my companies were about 3 years into shifting from traditional AV to AV as a service or a more managed services model. And we had those same questions. Who's actually doing this? How do we do that? I came to last year's CECI event in Orlando, and they had 3 guys on the stage whose companies were doing that.
Yeah.
And I was able to say, oh my God, you know, I'm sitting there taking notes. Like, what do I got to do? How do I do this? This is fantastic. And, you know, the next day after next work day after I got home, I'm starting to implement some of these ideas. That's fabulous.
Let's flip the tables now. Let's now us be the interviewers. We'll ask the question to you, sir.
What question?
The question you asked us. Why are you? What are you doing here other than wanting to hang out with us?
Because I just want to hang out with you.
See, you know,
and I got to go to New York to do that. So,
so you meet me in
Baltimore to do that.
You meet me in DC.
So. I meet you in DC. No, here's the thing, and I've said this a couple times. There is a lot that I get from listening to integrators, listening to their pain points, right? As a subcontractor of integrators, right? That's my main business. Innovet is a subcontractor, and so it gives me good insight, both from a marketing standpoint and a business standpoint, how I can help, not you because you're a consultant, but Joe and Dawn, how I can help them overcome their pain points, you know. And the other part is it's a good business contact. It really, really is. I mean, Steve Greenblatt, again, he does a lot. He does exactly what I do, but only he does it on the East Coast. I'm more in the Midwest. He and I both made some really good business contacts last year at this summit. I mean, I have 2 good qualified clients that we do business now currently that I made initial contact at last year's CI Summit.
And not to take away from some of the manufacturers that are here.
No.
But, you know, we run into our friends that are here. You know, just saw Tim from D-Tools. The guys from Mid-Atlantic is here. Chief is here. I mean, they're all here. But, like, for example, to listen to Jeremy Burkhart speak. Jeremy Burkhart's group, Origin Acoustics, is not something that I've worked a lot with. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. I mean, that's just nature of the business. I've not done a lot of work with him. But to hear him talk, damn, you want to go out and buy his speaker.
Absolutely, you do.
You want to take him and you want to put him up there. He is a very good speaker. He makes a ironic, but he makes a very nice product. I just thought about that. That didn't come out.
That took me a second.
Yeah, but you know, that's the sort of stuff that makes me happy to be in the industry. When you hear somebody who is passionate about what they do, we're geeks at heart. We've always been geeks at heart. We're attracted to it. The conversation at that dining room table right now is thick in geekery. I can sense it from here. They're all off on their tech thing right now. And that's why we're sitting in 7037 right now, is because of that love for what we do and wanting to know more. So to hear somebody like Jeremy Burkhart, who puts up the cash and started a company and did all this innovation with another company, and then says, you know what, I can't get away from this. I got to come back.
Yeah, and he was retired surfing in Fiji, for crying out loud.
Yeah. That makes you, that makes you think twice. Like, have I done everything that I want to do? Is there more to it? Is there something bigger that I can offer? And to hear him talk, yeah, I want to go out. I want to create it.
I want to go out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is that old saying? That old saw? If you do what you love and what you're passionate at, you never work a day in your life.
Amen, sister.
I think for most of us, we're total geeks. We'd be playing with this crap anyway, and trying to fix it and program it or whatever, even if we weren't getting paid for it. The fact that we get paid to do this, to play with toys all day long, and come to conferences and hang out with like-minded people, and get a check at the same time? Like, this is heaven. Why
Yes.
would we not want to do this?
Perfect.
How many regular hours did you work?
Today?
No, not today. I'm talking about in your career. How many did you ever have a 9 to 5 in this business?
No, never.
And you've been in it for 15 years.
Right.
Where the hell? I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, outside of being a musician or a painter, who the hell spends more than 8 hours or 9 hours in their trade and goes home and still wants to talk about it and then does podcasts about
Or
it
if you're Harry and I go home and work on it at your own house
and battle it out?
build your
Battle
own
it out.
rack. And
Yeah.
I want a Crestron. No, I don't want an X10. No, I... Anyhow, all right, Mr. Chris Neto, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
Where can people find you?
Chris_Neto on Twitter. My company, avhelpdesk.com. Best place to see what AV Helpdesk does as a consultant. You can find me on the AVNation website as well. And I dabble a little bit on the comm integrator writings here and there.
All right, very good. Joe Legato, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Where can people find you and your company?
USISAV.net. And my Twitter handle is USISAVJLegato.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
And last but not least, AV Dawn, thank you, ma'am.
My
Thank you for
pleasure.
this wonderful suite.
I know, right? For the next 3 days, people can find me here in the suite, 7037
So,
at the conference.
What?
are we going to continue going live tomorrow?
We'll talk about
Oh, no, we can't do that
We'll
tomorrow.
talk about it.
Tomorrow we're on a boat.
We'll talk about it.
On a boat! Oh. Hi-Fi's not here. I don't know if we can recreate the video.
3-hour tour.
On the Potomac.
Woohoo! Outside of the next few days of craziness here in National Harbor, you can find me on Twitter at AVDawn, my company at net_AV. You can find me. The AV Dawn blog is coming back. I'm working on a few technical issues, but
Better than ever.
there is at least a blog up on AVNation. I'm getting
There
back
is?
on it, so look for me there, avnation.tv, and the company is net-av.com, and check us out.
Very good. Thank you guys so much.
Word.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yes, I'm gonna record an ending here, and we'll go bye bye. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. My name is Tom Albright. Don't follow me, but go by the website, like Don said, avnation.tv. avnation.tv. You'll find this program as a special, and a whole lot of others every week. We do AV Week, typically on Fridays. We have some more international guests coming up, so we're going to be changing around exactly when we're doing it.
There are several new AV socials in the pipeline.
There are several new
We've got
AV socials in the pipeline.
Several potential guests, a couple of whom are quite exciting. So
Very cool.
Kelly and my co-host Kelly is here, and while we're at the summit, we are going to be talking about when we can schedule some of these guests. So pay attention, AV social coming
Strategizing.
up.
AV
That's
social.
right.
All right.
Cunning plan.
George has got some new live lives coming out. I know they recorded a new Pico Prospective, which is our little small projector show. EdTech, State of Control with my buddy Steve Greenblatt. So all sorts of that. Check it out if you would please. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been an AVNation special.